We would like to invite now Brenden and Greg. So Brenda, for those of you who did not meet him on the workshop day, Brenda is an expert on generative components. There he is. And Greg is in our industry committee for the conference. I'll just give a brief introduction because he is the first time he's appearing. So first of all, the idea of this session now is to initially get some workshop outcomes discussion, understand how the workshop on generative components went, what we've learned from it, and how we can reflect about what we've learned to enhance our tools for the future. And then Greg will be talking about the iTwin from platform from Bentley Systems. A little bit more about Greg for the benefits of the audience. Greg Denchak is a software designer, entrepreneur, and technology evangelist with a focus on human-computer interaction involving 3D, 4D digital information models of the built world. He worked extensively on the design of Revit, which is a build information modeling software, Synchro, 4D planning software, and iTwin XR, which is a digital twin platform. And in addition to product design, Greg has extensive experience bringing new products to the market by engaging directly with end users using design thinking and user-centric design principles. So Brenden and Greg, it's a pleasure to have you here. So I'll just open up the discussion about the workshops. I think Brenden has a presentation, and then we follow up with Greg's presentation on the Bentley digital twin platform.
Okay, thank you very much, Abel. So I'm going to just really try and keep this as simple and as straightforward as possible. So the idea behind this year's workshop, which I believe is the first time that we've run workshops at DCIO, was to introduce generative components, which is a computational design tool from the Bentley family. The assumption here was people may have not seen generative components before, they may not, but they may have used other tools. So in many ways, it was very, very basic introduction to the product, but as a vehicle for actually looking at some of the techniques that have been common to the use of computational design, some of the technologies or approaches to that, but then to show how Bentley has implemented those approaches, and sort of also showcase within the tool the opportunities to begin explorations and expand the capabilities or expand areas of interest beyond what is delivered out of the box, as it were. So what we did was we obviously had a look at using the tool, and we spent some time just looking at how the people, the humans interacted with the tool. But we also started with Bentley's understanding of how and when such tools might sit in amongst the other approaches to design, the design explorations you might do, etc. And as I say, we looked at the human interaction with that in terms of how you exploit the UI, the different opportunities, and the different ways of creating geometry, be that perhaps promoting traditionally built geometry using tools, then to geometry created directly as a result of the expression of an algorithm or your graph. But we also, behind that, we were educating people about the fact that in terms of computational design, is an opportunity to treat everything as an object that has properties, it has methods, it might have behaviors, And there are different progressions to how you interact with those objects and the way that you might exploit those methods and objects. There are some very simple techniques in the UI to obviously then moving on to areas where you might want to do a deeper dive into that and look at scripting. But what we try to do is show the linkages and the interactions and the bidirectional aspects of working with a graph, working with text files, working with, you know, standard inputs, that kind of thing. So we sort of see GC as a workbench to create tools to help with the design solutions. And it was really interesting for me because one of the questions that came up with is, well, how do I take it further? What opportunities are there to either develop bespoke solutions or solutions that are beyond or perhaps macro in scale rather than micro in scale in terms of a design solution? And so we were able to very simply and just very briefly at least show users that you can actually build your own tools and then share those tools to create your own items that you can place into the graph. You can transport those items and share those items with other users. And you can then also expand the capabilities by writing functions or scripting functions. And I know these techniques are fairly common these days, but like I say, it was an opportunity to show how Bentley had implemented that. And what we also do within GC is if you have access to a development environment such as, say, Microsoft Visual Studio, you can then leverage wizards that will allow you to create a development environment within Visual Studio to look at perhaps producing the solution that you might want to put into a marketplace out in the out in the world, because the GC scripting and etc. uses a very C-like language, which is obviously very robust and very capable. And so, like I said, there are all these opportunities or avenues to expand the capabilities to go beyond simply resolving geometry or etc. And the vehicle that we chose to do this, I know it might be a little bit old hat or basic in terms of some of the really exciting stuff that you may have seen over the last couple of days, but we used a very simple vehicle where we created a parametric module. We converted that parametric module into a node that we could transport to and use in other files or even on other machines. And then we put that node into a larger system, such as a curtain wall system or an elevation, etc. And thereby showing the flexibility of taking a graphical approach and to actually build a system of systems where you've got various parametric subcomponents, and then you can chain those together into a larger system and then monitor the behaviors, etc. So that was a very, very potted, very, I apologize, very breathless kind of expose of what we did in the workshop and some of the ideas that we talked about with users that were developing it. I would like to thank Abel and the DCIO organization for giving us the opportunity to actually host a workshop this year, and hopefully we will have more opportunity to do similar things next year and in future years, and perhaps expand and broaden out areas of investigation. So thank you very much, Abel, and I think I'll pass on to my colleague, Greg. Thank you.